want me to say that I want to exclude that necessarily for other things that are, like you said in the beginning, are maybe less involved or less directly pushed towards the day-to-day operations, or for example, for this specific edition.
Like, so how would you like? Okay, so you and Migle decided that I'm not a good fit for the organization at this time.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Lazar, but it was not just me and Mikle, it was kind of a team decision in that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with MF. If I can just, give a bit more context, I don't think it's necessarily, I don't think you have any wrong approach because I don't believe in like having a wrong or right approach here. It's more like, can some people to the degree that they want work together, and maybe to the degree that we want it to work, maybe we just can't, kind of like as kids say, like, oh, we just don't get along, I think you being harsh and all of that, New Yorker, all of that, that's not like a flaw in my book. It's just not compatible with how I would work, or it's just not compatible with how I work, if that makes sense. But again, it's not a wrong way to work. Um, but for yeah, my personal, like, what I selfishly want to do with this edition is just kind of provide some value to DevCon week in some form, way, capacity, whatever. So that's why, for example, like the Europe idea, I don't want to kind of like be behind it. If I could duplicate myself, if I could clone myself, I would tell my clone like, hey, do that because that's cool. But I can't. So I can only kind of like spend my time at one thing just like one thing at once. So so that.
Okay.
But I would like to assume, because I'm I don't believe in kind of like cutting people off forever or something like that. This isn't really that. I would like to assume that we can throw something, whether that's in the next edition or in a different form or shape. I'm personally open to, if you have some ideas, as long as it doesn't clash with what we want to do. Because we already, over the weekend, as we discussed, what we want to do. Do we even want to continue doing this? In what manner? What are even our options? What is the hotel available or not? Yada yada. We kind of like shaped our vision in the last couple of days.
But again, I wasn't included in that, and that really hurts me, like it really, really, really hurts me. I think way more than my natural New York style communications hurt you guys. Do you understand that? Like, do you
I
understand my
understand. I think
feelings?
I get you in that, but you do need to keep in mind you initially also made the decision yourself to step out of it for a couple of days.
No, I didn't step out of it for the couple of days, and we discussed it. I gave you this feeling that, hey, I might be gone, so let me see. And then you said, okay, till the end of the week. And then I told you on Friday that, hey, guys, I'm in, and you ignored it. You ignored it, and that would really hurt. I didn't want to step out. I just started to see and feel like what's possible, and then you're like taking up this opportunity and pushing me away.
It's less as taking up the opportunity. It was more us figuring out in those few days, okay, what can we do now that we have a person potentially less, and which direction do we need to take? Alongside also then the news of that specific hotel currently not being on the map anymore.
And I didn't know that until Monday, or Tuesday.
Neither did we. I got this message itself on Sunday afternoon, and I only communicated it to everybody on Monday itself.
Okay.
So this was not something that I already knew before Sunday afternoon. And Sunday itself, I just don't do any work because I also need a day of rest in there. Otherwise, burnouts, they sadly still happen as well if I don't take a day of rest. So this was also not like just all of these things together kind of were more, I think, not only seeing it, definitely not actually seeing it as an opportunity. Oh, we finally can push you out. I just also don't think that what we have in mind is fitting what you want to do. And this might be my own opinions in there, but alongside of the other reasons that I had mentioned and written out in Discord as well, it just kind of became a clash. And sometimes I do need to make these decisions to try to figure out, okay, how can we move as quickly forward as possible? And that kind of led to this. This is again, that does not necessarily exclude you from me or us talking to you or having bad feelings. Not at all. This is rather me wanting to avoid that moment because I do see it coming, and especially after considering with everybody else how to move forward and which steps to take, I rather avoid those moments coming ahead when I see them coming than let the things run out and all of us trying to fix bridges that are half broken, and meanwhile we're trying to cross the same rivers. But I just kind of felt like we were not really, you know, we were not really working on crossing the rivers. We were just kind of constantly looking to refix the same circles, and we were just not moving forward at all, which created a lot of frustrations.
So, but do you see how much work I've done on this project? Do you recognize the hours and the deep, dedication that I felt over the past month and a half, let's say? Like, do you see it?
Last month, indeed, I see the effort you've put into this, although it was maybe not directed at the right, at the right bullseye. I definitely see the amount of time and effort you put to it. And this is not related to you not putting in the effort. That's, was also none of the reasons I've mentioned.
So, do you think that this effort needs to be covered? That this type of expense will have to be covered one way or another. Do you
No,
think is fair?
no, because for the same reason that there's nobody is on any pay range, salary, consultant wage, hourly rate, commission rate, for the simple reason A, we have not brought in any money, B, we have not launched any event, C, we have not agreed to any financial payments. So even though I value your efforts and I'll be mindful of them, it's the same risk that we are taking with our time in trying to make things happen as well, because who says that we still will make something happen? None of this has even been figured, or so far we have great plans and ideas,
But you
but I
understand
don't.
that this group is going to take my ideas and my visions and my
No,
copy
we're not going to take any of
and
those.
everything. No, potentially, as an
No, we
experience,
won't
you
take
will.
any of
No,
those.
that's
No,
the
we
key.
won't.
You guys got an experience from someone who's more senior than you, and now you're going to take that experience and you're going to use it for your own benefit. That's how I see it.
No, we're not going to take any of that experience, and we very clearly communicated ahead that none of this would be paid, and I very clearly communicated ahead with you that the tasks that I gave you were aimed directly at the merch and the physical arts. We are not going to utilize your designs. We're not going to utilize your branding. We're not going to utilize your copy. We're not going to utilize your work, because also
But you're going to
otherwise,
utilize the list that I created. So,
which list?
have you seen the list?
I mean the partnerships list.
Yeah.
We are not even talking to these people, and on its own, it's a list, as far as I've seen, of companies with people who work there. And I think you know just as much as I do in business development and partnerships, that list is worth nothing without you doing that introduction to that specific person.
And you don't want me to be part of it and creating wealth for all of us because I do have such contacts and these connections, simply because you feel
I
that
don't, it's not
professionally
that
I'm
I don't
not.
want those connections and introductions. It's more that I do not want to deal with the ultimatums or negotiations that force you to leverage those connections in us needing to make certain decisions.
Well, again, because if my name is on the team, I want it to be like up the level that I'm expecting it to be. You understand?
We have different
It's a
levels
brand.
of expectations, is what I'm trying to communicate here. And you might have a different level in your mind of what you see as a high level. So do I, maybe. But what I'm trying to say in here is that somehow there's a miscommunication or misexpectations going into reaching that level. And I don't think if we continue like this, we will actually reach any level. But we will both, and not only me and you, I think the whole team will just get frustrated on us constantly nitpicking on these things while we are not actually making much progress. So I'm not trying to say that those things would not be helpful. I am trying to say that the way you are leveraging those things, the way you are communicating with those things, the way you are putting those ultimatums before you would use those things, that is not helpful. Nor is the same things that when we initially had discussions on how you could be helpful, which was initially location, but then that we found a different solution to, then was the physical art and merch. On none of those things, neither did I see much progress.
But
And
I would not make a progress on this without an actual like confirm confirmation that the event is happening. What would you like to to curate those artists to start contacting them, to create a deck for them again? Like maybe it's right, maybe I went wrong in that place where I wasn't doing what I'm like what my box was, and that kind of caused everything that happened after. Like if I approached you guys and said, hey, because I have this artists list, I want to work on our branding to match their aesthetics, maybe that would be taken differently.
that could have been, for example, a different way to approach that. While at the same time, I appreciate you are looking at things to see how we could improve them instead of nitpicking on things for the future as well. It's also having, first your own box covered and then offering advice to people instead of offering ultimatums is a very big difference of way of working.
Okay, that's clear.
Yeah, you don't have a bad aesthetics or style. Don't get me wrong in this. That's not what I'm saying here either with your feedback. And, there were definitely points where we could be more professional or improve on. I'm not trying to even say that all of what you were saying was necessarily at its core wrong. It's also more about that sometimes other people have responsibility about a certain point and they might have a different style or aesthetics. And then as it's not your core responsible, that is where the concept of people having their box comes apart, where we sometimes need to agree with how other people behave with their box because they have the responsibility about that. And if, the reason why I have the system of people have specific responsibility about specific, ownership or boxes is to be able to make those decisions without other people being able to constantly revert those decisions. Otherwise, we always end up walking in circles.
Yes, but after a talk with Migle and looking at again the brands that she put together for the first reach out, I was strongly feeling that Migle is not capable of actually putting together a normal sized list of industry players that are aligned to what we're building here. So that's why I stepped in. You understand?
I see
It's
your
it's
have your opinions there, and I can see that we all have points where to improve. But that again, that has also, if you do it with one point, for example, let's say business development and reaching out to these specific peoples, and I think you're aware of that, especially with your extensive experience as a consultant. Sometimes you also need to guide people and advise people, not take over from people and then criticize them on how they're doing, especially if you deem yourself to be the more experienced and knowledgeable person. And especially, also having worked as a consultant, knowing how to deal with people who have the end responsibility of a certain box, even if you know better.
Yeah, and did I do something wrong in that sense? Did I take over?
I don't know in a way because, there was no back talking on between Migla and you about this. That's also why, at least not that I'm aware of. What I do know is that the way you're out your criticism on the specific boxes, which were not part of your end responsibility, alongside putting up the ultimatums, that did not work. And that is not something I would recommend for general workways.
All right. Okay. I see you guys. All right. Is there anything else you do want to say to me before we part ways?
Yeah, I just do want to say that again, I'm not trying, I'm not, I know that sometimes these things might seem direct because I can also be quite direct sometimes, and I'm more saying this for my personal self. None of this is coming from oh, you did something bad, I need to punish you now. None of this is coming from, oh, I don't like you as a person. I just think that sometimes there's a ways of clashing with work, with specific projects. And that does not necessarily mean that, in the future that this will automatically happen again. I think sometimes the right time and the right momentum might not be fit in an overall coupling thing. And maybe if we did a smaller event with, less people of the same team in there, or a completely different angled event that would be a different ethos or different ideology, or even in the very, very core, if you had, a very different box, and that, for example, you box your own responsibility fully would be partnerships or branding, that doesn't mean that I think you would not be great in that. This has nothing to do with that specifically.
Guys, there is a reason why there are senior people in organization and there are people who are not as senior, okay? So I wanted to step up to be a little bit more of a support and senior, part to just better direct your flow. That's all. And that kind of was my feeling. I wasn't doing it like intentionally, and that wasn't my goal in the beginning. But I saw an opportunity to guide you a little bit more in what you guys are doing, and that wasn't received well. And I get it because it does hit the ego, just like the way that it hits the ego to be removed from this project.
Then if I just, may offer a sense of feedback in that, because I do see how you want to do that, and I'm sure you could be great at this. Again, as how we had our own, our initial 101 as well, try to do it or continue trying to apply that experience and knowledge, but take the cat with gloves. Try to find other ways to enforce the behavior you think should triumph over if other people would be inexperienced. A very good ways, I know I don't want to become patronizing or other ways, but I learned a lot from the book called Nudge, in nudging people their behavior rather than taking over the steer and doing a 180 turn.
Well, my company is called Balanced Humanity, so I do everything to rebalance things that I'm seeing on the core true, so that it's easier on the core to make a difference than rather than try and nudge and do some kind of like more. I haven't read the book and I'm looking into it, but generally like gentle is not working for me. What works for me is like, let's do it.
I get
New
that.
York, New York,
but
guys.
that's
Like again, this is cultural thing. I'm learning a lot being in Europe. This is my first few years in Europe. I have to say that it's been extremely excruciating because nobody gives a fuck about actually getting things done quickly and efficiently. And that's what really, really makes me feel like Americans are gonna win over Europe, just because these fuckers can actually make things happen. Anyways, I might be super, super wrong, and I hope I am. I'm here now. I need to adapt to a culture. It's my learning curve, and with you guys, I've learned a lot, and I guess, yeah, I am more grateful than frustrated, of course. In
well,
this
likewise.
experience.
I definitely hope, there's no intention here to burn any bridges, and I hope you see it in the same. And I definitely hope, the way I've been trying to communicate with you as well, that you got rid of that initial feeling of being backstabbed, because there was definitely no, that was not happening within our communications there.
Well, you had a meeting without me on the weekend,
Have
and
a
then
meeting without you on the weekends.
right, or like Monday anyway. But that was already like extremely painful, actually. Yeah. So.
I mean, you do see how if your initial intent
Mikhail
no.
went. I'll take the opportunity to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a couple from me.
Say it.
I wouldn't see
Sure.
this as like us like. Oh, MF, you want to continue? I wanted to give like my 2 cents as well
If you
later.
I just pressed the wrong button. Apologies.
Do you want to continue?
If you'd like.
Sure. I'll save my take for later.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to say that I hope you also do see that if someone of my team says that they are starting to consider of not taking part in this anyway anymore, I do need to start making backup plans and communicate with other people what they think about that and what we should do next.
I told you on Friday that I'm in still. Again, was it? It wasn't like late. I wasn't late. I wasn't there on Sunday at 11:59 saying, "Hey guys,
But
I still don't want to go away. I still
this
want
is
to
not
stay."
about you doing, not being on time. This is not a test or an application in that sense. This is about us having sensed this and having needed to discuss this and eventually having made that discussion like this.
Okay. I guess I took myself out, taking the responsibility for that. And the way I did it was definitely not well thought through. And I was on my period last week, so I was way more emotional, especially on Monday, than I've ever before. And I've also made a wrong direction step with another project that I'm also currently dealing with the consequences of, so that my emotional ups and downs can bring me this type of kind of like unthought through decisions, which result in pain, actually, and suffering, and feeling of loss, because I liked you guys. I think it would be possible to make it work with the current team setup. We just needed to, maybe change things up a little bit to upgrade, the way that we can be perceived by everyone. Because again, like the way that Logos is presenting themselves is way more, upscale and like appealing, and not as the
Logos,
gen.
just from the inside, I had a team of about 25 people working on the marketing.
Yeah, I
Just
see. Well, makes sense.
uh,
Yeah.
and they also have a roughly an advertisement budget of about 100K a month
Yeah.
alongside,
Can imagine.
even outside of the marketing team. They had also another, I think, five devs or two dev teams at least, who were not part of the marketing team, also synchronously developing the ideas they've had while they were developing them.
I get it. I understand. It's a big mechanism there. But in smaller mechanisms, there's also a way to create something of value that is very like good and impressive. Yeah, I was hoping to co-create it with you guys, because there were not many examples of events happening that I felt like were great, in our field. So I was hoping to make an event that is really, really, really outstanding for all
I think you
involved.
have good ideas and good ideologies, even though this might not fit with this project. Why don't you try to initiate a project with your own ideologies? Because I think you have these ideas, you have these concepts you feel very strongly about. Getting them out in the open and trying to create your own team, that might definitely be a good step for you.
Yeah. I've been producing events my whole life, so I don't want to do it professionally anymore. So that's the thing, I've came in this team as more of like, again, I should have been presenting myself as a consultant, as an advisor, and not like the full-time type of member. I guess that was my mistake. I'm a little bit fed up with gathering people. I'd rather, create like a dinner or like a gallery tour, as what we met at, than produce like this very ambitious, big thing, which is a big trend right now in the Web3 world, is to create these co-living, co-working environments. And I really get it. And I think you are really well positioned to be a leader in that trend as well, along with Suzalu and others. So yeah, I'm hoping that you guys really make it work. Like you do produce an event of value that will be respected in our community, and I'll be proud to be part of it from the early stage in the beginning. Even though you guys decided to push me out, I am still hoping that you will make it,
But Nat, you can also, I mean, I would encourage you to still like go for that. I don't know, just at the top of my head, like if you want to create that kind of experience or something in Europe, you should do that. If by any chance, like, you know, even better, you would have all of the creative liberty to do it how you feel it should be. So there wouldn't be any clashing between us and you in terms of like ideation or branding or visual identity or anything like that. Like, and I think we would be happy to support it, whether that's through cross promotion or maybe in the future we could even have a joint venture where whatever you create collabs with whatever we create. As maybe that's going to be a co-living, co-working experience, maybe that's going to be a pop-up village, maybe that's going to be some gift. Like I would like to see that, you know.
Yeah.
I think we're scaled down drastically for this one, just to have like a pilot program to see like if this has product market fit. We assume it does based on what's on the market,
Yeah,
but
for
we
sure.
don't, because every brand is different, and just based on how you market it might not find the product market fit, even though you're offering the same as someone else. They're just marketing it in a different way with different colors or whatever tastes. I think I would really like if I see you do your thing and then you prove your product market fit, and then maybe we collab in some capacity in maybe a month, maybe 5 months, maybe who knows, maybe even in DevCon, like, or maybe for the next DevCon, or maybe something for Europe in 2025. Like, that's still like, I think that's, we don't want to kind of like distance ourselves from you, like never talk to her or no, like we just want to scale this down and do it in this way that we perceived and that we discussed over the weekend, or like on Monday, when did we even discuss, I don't know. And you know, just to like do it in this way, which unfortunately doesn't align with your all of your ideals and all of that, but that's kind of fine, you know.
But what did you discuss? I mean, can you give me some insights? What did you discuss in terms of decisions outside of me?
Well,
Like.
well, since the hotel is not going to happen, we're going to have to come up with alternative ways, like how can we even make this, how can we make this. And now we're in the brainstorming phase of like, can we even make this, how, all of that.
Okay.
But it's going to be scaled drastically, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have all of the answers. We don't know, but we just want to like try something.
Why not? Yes, since you guys already have great connection, and the only yes was the Web3 privacy now. Produce